welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 289 and I'm Lisa, your host, also known as Fiber Nymph on Ravelry and pretty much everywhere on social media. I'll put my screen in here so you know where you can find me if you're interested or how to contact me. Okay, so today's Thursday, July 26th. Yeah, it's been over 2 weeks since we talked last because I was busy getting ready for a show and doing a whole bunch of dyeing that I had to have done by the end of the month, and then I've been away. So I've been away for almost a week and we just got back. I would say Tuesday. We were supposed to get back Tuesday night, but it was actually more like almost 2 in the morning Wednesday before we finally rolled in. So I'm still sort of recovering from that trip. Yesterday was my, recovery day, but not really because there was a lot to do and I ended up diving right into work. But yeah, it was a good trip. We went to Florida. My mom got married last Saturday, so we were down there for the wedding. I'll talk more about that later on, like in 10%. But I ended up taking sort of a digital detox while I've been away. That was not intentional. I thought I would post things to Instagram and maybe do some, Instagram stories and things like that while we were away and at the beach. And I did take video, but I didn't do anything with it. I honestly just sort of, I don't know. I didn't really connect. So I apologize. I was not ignoring you on purpose. I just kind of needed the time away and the time off, and I'm still sort of feeling just tired, and I think I'm just tired from the trip because the drive home was actually horrible. It was long and then it ended up being quite late and very rainy towards the end, and it was just ugh. And then, anytime, I don't know about you, anyway, when I end up having to be up and driving and just getting home in the middle of the night like that, my body rebels and my insides were not happy with me yesterday and my whole body ached and it was just not a good day. And so today I feel like I'm still sort of recuperating from that. But I thought it was a good morning to do a podcast because it's early. It's actually not even 9 in the morning yet. So I've got show notes written out and I've got all my projects lined up. I did do a whole lot of knitting while I was away. I might not have been on social media, but I did do some knitting, so I can't wait to show you all of that. Yeah, so why don't we just dive right in? How about that? Coffee is necessary today. Well, coffee's necessary every day. But, All right, so let's talk about some finished objects. I actually knit like a crazy person on the ride down to Florida, which is all told, I would say, I'm trying to think how long it took us. We left here like 5:15 and we probably got to my mom's going on 8 o'clock. We stopped in South Carolina. We had to pick my grandson up, which is sort of on the way, so it's not too far out of the way, but it was a little bit of a jog. So yeah, it's over 12. It's between 12 and 13 hours to drive straight through, and that's including like we took a stop for like a Cracker Barrel for breakfast and everything. So anyway, but other than that, I did a lot of knitting in the car because my husband generally likes to drive these trips, or he doesn't mind driving them. So I get to do a lot of knitting. Although I did take a turn driving through part of it just because I knew we were going to be hitting traffic on 77 going past Charlotte. There's always traffic on 77, like from Lake Norman on down past Charlotte. There's just always traffic and he gets frustrated, so I just voluntarily drove at that point. So anyway, my first 2 finished objects, which I have to say, I know I'm bouncing around here, but I packed so many projects to take with me and I thought, oh, this is ridiculous. I'm never going to get to all this. I packed 8 different projects, a couple of which had multiple components to them. I ended up doing something on all of those projects except 2. One was my arboreal sweater, which don't ask me why I took that. I think I thought, oh, I'll have car time. I can just knit in the round and get a bunch of that stockinette knocked out. Well, that's great, except I also had my Tegna with me, which is more the one I wanted to be doing that with. which I'll get to in a minute. So I never touched the arboreal. And the other thing was I did take my Jalagan. I thought maybe I would do some drop spindling while I was away, since it was technically, and I guess technically is still Tour de Fleece, but I never touched my Jalagan while I was away. So my July spinning has taken a hit, but I feel pretty good about everything else I got done. So the one project I did take with me was my Downseller Studio Splash Pad Party X Games projects. I had 2 left to go. Remember, there was 8 things you had to complete, and I had gotten 6 of them done before I left, and so I did the last 2 in the car. Number 5 on the list of 8 things was the garden. And you were supposed to do something related to a flower or a plant or something. I chose to do a flower-shaped dishcloth using a pattern I had never used before. The pattern was called Flower Power Washcloth by Rebecca Mercier, which I believe is a free pattern on Ravelry. And it's really cute, and I love it, except I started knitting on it in the car, and as I was doing the decreases, because you work from the petals, I'll show you in a second, but you work from the petals on into the center of the circle. I wasn't paying any attention to the directions at that point. I was just doing my decreases, but I was doing them the same way you would do hat decreases, basically. Like decrease around, knit around, decrease around, knit around. That doesn't work for something that's supposed to be flat. So I have a flower, but my flower basically has a nipple. It's super cute though, and honestly, it's a washcloth, so I don't think it matters. I did briefly think about ripping the center out and decreasing more slowly so that it would not be like that, but I didn't. I thought, I could make it a puppet. Whatever. It's done. It's a flower and it counts, and it's a dishcloth, and you can wash even if it is like that. This was some yarn I just had in my stash, some cotton yarn by Katya. It's Jamaica. I don't know what the specific colorway is. It just said multi in my project page from the other thing that I used it for, so we'll just go with that. I don't know. I like Katya. Katya is Jamaica. It comes in some really fun colorways. I've used it for several rounds of dishcloths in the past, so that was my number 5 on the X Games. And the very last thing was the dining hall. Number 6, and it had to be something food related, which I don't remember. She did give some examples of what it could be. I basically got on Ravelry and started doing a pattern search for knitted food, or food. I think I just put food in as my search word for the pattern section, and it started coming up with all of these really cute things that you could put on food, and there were lots of patterns for hats for eggs, like hard-boiled eggs, presumably that you would use like maybe like in Easter baskets or something. So I found a pattern called Bunny Hats for Eggs by Tatiana Korobkova. I'm looking at my show notes down here in case you're wondering. It was a free pattern, and they were really cute. They were basically little beanies that you then knit these little squares that turned into ears, these floppy little ears. I don't have the pattern printed out, or I would show you a picture of it. Anyway, basically I knew I just wanted to do a basic hat and put like a little pom-pom, or because there was actually another pattern on Ravelry that did have these little pom-pom hats for eggs. It was super cute. But it was like $6 or something. I wasn't paying $6 for a pattern that I was going to knit one little hat for an egg. So I basically used the free pattern by Tatiana Korobkova, which the ears were super cute. I just didn't feel like doing anything that fiddly, so I didn't. I used it as my guideline to know how many stitches to cast on, and then took it from there, and I knit this little hat. And my hard-boiled egg is sweating this morning because I've had him out of the fridge for a while, but isn't he cute? I put the tassel on. That was not part of the pattern. Like I said, I just used the stitch count that she had in there, and then basically made it sort of look like a couple of other egg patterns, egg hat patterns that I saw online. And then I decided to put the itty bitty tassel on the top. I just think he's super cute. So this was my entry for the dining hall, as it is a hat for a piece of food, so hopefully it'll count. Whatever. I have not officially entered my X Games projects in the Downseller Studio group yet. I need to do that and take a picture. I'm going to try to take a picture of everything, maybe all together, I don't know. Or somehow collage the ones that I've already taken. But I got them done, and I got them done by the deadline, so we'll see if I now get them all posted in the group. I'm so bad at that part of knit-alongs. Like, I'll do the knit-alongs unofficially and then never really post them. But whatever, it was fun. And all told, all 8 of those projects, I used 287 yards of yarn out of my stash. So I thought that was pretty cool. Not that I'm keeping track of my yardage for anything this year, because I'm not doing stash dash, but it was just kind of fun to know that I did use that much yarn in those 8 little projects, because none of those projects were huge. I mean, the dishcloths probably used the most amount of yarn. Matter of fact, my nippled flower dishcloth, I think, used the most yarn out of everything at like 87 yards. I don't know. But they're done, and they were fun to do. It was a fun little challenge, like a low pressure challenge for myself. So I had fun with it. So those are my first finished objects. I have one other finished object. Well, that's not true. I do have something else that's finished, but it's not a complete finished object. But the one finished object I do have is another thing I finished in the car, and it's a hat. It's just a charity hat. I remembered to grab one of my styrofoam heads so I could show you. This is my Fiber Nymph Dye Works Bonafide base, which is my DK weight. And this is just some leftovers I had from another project I did one time in my Sea Monsters colorway. I used to call this Sea Monsters Need Love Too, and then that seemed like a really long name, so I ended up shortening it to just Sea Monsters. But I really like the colorway. It was basically just, it was an 88 stitch beanie. I had to use US 7 needles because I couldn't find anything smaller. Ordinarily I would have done this on like 5s or 6s, but that was all I could find when I was in a hurry before we left, so I used the US 7s, and it's fine. I cast on 88 stitches, and I did 2x2 ribbing for, I don't know, about 2 inches, and then I did this modified vanilla bean slip stitch pattern there, but I just did it at the beginning and the end of this green stripe round, so the other stripes are just regular and straight. So it worked out fine. It'll be a charity hat. I always love looking at the tops of hats. I think they look neat. Yeah, it'll go in my charity hat collection, which I'm basically starting over since I just sent a whole bunch of them off to Sarah Pomegranate. But yeah, so that was my other finished object for the trip. I did, however, work on a bunch of other things. Let's see. I need to find them. Did I remember to bring everything in here? Sorry. Alright, we'll go with this, because this is also sort of a finished object. I took just a collection of hand-spun yarns that I could work on my hand-spun Afghan squares that I've been doing, my log cabin squares. This has been a very long, ongoing project. I think I started this back in 2013, and I've just been working on it ever since, because I just work on it here and there. But I got another one finished. I think this one had actually already been started at the just the beginning. So I finished this one. This was one of my colorways. I think it was called Winter Whimsy. It was a club colorway. I only did it once, and then I never dyed it again because I apparently didn't save the recipe for it, which is kind of sad because I really like it. I probably could recreate it if I needed to. I could probably figure out what I did. But anyway, so this is one finished square, and then I did cast on another one. Oh, it's just not on the needle because I bound off, so it'll go back in that little hole before I pick up stitches. So that's as far as I got on a second one. But I took a bunch of hand spun with me because I thought, well, that'll be a quick and easy thing to work on if I'm, needing something to work on during conversations or what have you. So that's sort of a finished project. It's not a finished project. It's a finished object for a project that has been in the works for a long time and will continue to be in the works for a long time, along with all my other unfinished Afghan projects that are on the needles. You know, I still have that one that I started for my oldest son for Christmas last year and then never finished, and then never finished it for his birthday in January. I should probably get that out and start working on that again, so I would have some hope of getting it to him this year for Christmas, perhaps. I really ought to do that. Anyway, okay, so I worked on that. Then I worked also on a sock, because I couldn't not take a sock with me. I decided to cast on the second sock for the, this was the Needles Up colorway that I did this year, the What Color Is Your Sheep colorway. And I had this sock tube done in time for Needles Up, so I had it as a sample. It does not have its heel in yet. But I cast the second sock on right before we left for our trip so that I would have the second sock to work on. So I only had like the ribbing done on it, and I pretty much knit all of this sitting around on Sunday after the wedding. The wedding was Saturday, and then Sunday we were all supposed to be over at their house just hanging out with everybody. My new stepfather has a very large family, and they're all very nice, but it was overwhelming for me because pretty much at the wedding our family consisted of me and my husband and then my grandson, and then my daughter and her boyfriend were there, which was fun. I got to meet her boyfriend. I hadn't met him before. And then my middle child, who is my younger son, he was also there. And that was it. Oh, and my aunt, my mom's sister and her gentleman friend were there as well. But that was it. Everybody else, and there were a lot of people, like well over 20 people, all from his family, who I had not met any of them. And like I said, they're all very nice, but you know what? If you're an introvert like I am, you may be able to relate to that feeling of overwhelm of being somewhere where you are in the minority and you hardly know anybody, and like you're surrounded by people you don't know and you have to try to be appropriately social. I sat at the table outside and knit a lot. Like, this was my security knitting that day, and I know that sounds absolutely ridiculous because if you are not an introvert, you may not get that and you might think I'm just crazy, and maybe I am. But yeah, I knit a lot, and you know, if nothing else, it makes a good conversation piece because non-knitters are like, oh, what are you doing? Are you crocheting? Is that, you know, weaving? No, I'm knitting a sock. It will grow up to be a sock. So I got to explain that, but you know, it was fine. I'm just I was exhausted by the end of the trip just for that reason, because I'm not good with people in large quantities when I don't know them. So anyway, I did work on the sock. All that to say, I worked on the sock. It was my security knitting. I actually had it in my purse, like at the wedding and at this other dinner we had to go to, which I did not work on at any of those times because I thought that might be inappropriate, but I had it with me just in case. Oh, I wish I was one of those extroverted people. That's like my daughter. Like I said, my daughter and her boyfriend were there, and there were a lot of people there their age, like the 20s crowd, maybe early 30s at the most. You know, my mom's husband's grandchildren were in that age range, and so like my daughter's just off. They were with them all the time, socializing, running around, doing stuff, going out to bars, karaokeing, going to the beach. I'm like, but I want to spend time with my daughter. And she's like, hey mom, gave me a hug, and then like I hardly saw her after that. That was kind of a bummer. My son was a little less social. He's much more like me. He's a bit more introverted and quiet. He likes to be around the people. He just doesn't want to need to interact with them excessively. So, and interacting socially with him doesn't come naturally. So it's a little harder for him anyway. But yeah, like the kids were like, I felt old. This was actually the first time at a family gathering I really felt old, because my kids, who aren't kids obviously, they didn't really want to hang out with me. They wanted to hang out with their age, you know, kids, the other young adults that were there. And so I was left with the old people. I don't want to be one of the old people. I want to be, yeah, I don't know. I'm whining now. It just made me feel very old. That's all I can say. Okay, that was a total diversion. What else did I work on while I was away? Let me see. I've gone off my list now. Where's my Tegna? Let me show you my Tegna. I made progress on it. I finished all of the lace on my Tegna before we left, because that was not something I wanted to work on in the car. So the lace was all finished. I'm going to un-rubber band my needles here so I can show it to you better. So the lace is finished, and from the lace on up to the needles, that's as much stockinette as I managed to get accomplished while we were away and since we've been back. It's slow going, I gotta say. I am knitting this out of Elspeth of Old Hempathy, which is technically a DK weight yarn. I started out knitting this on US 3s. Since going into the stockinette, I've gone to 2.5s because it just seems very open, and I'm a looser knitter to begin with, so going down to 2.5s is giving me a nice fabric for the stockinette section. I'm also doing some shaping decreases, which is not in the pattern, but I don't want this to be as full and boxy as it is written. But I'm also starting to get a little concerned that I'm not going to have enough yarn. I had 7 balls of Hempathy to work with, and where you see this marker here, from the starting of the lace up to this marker was 3 balls. So this is marking where I started my 4th ball of yarn, and I would say I'm about halfway through that, if not more. They're just 50-gram balls of yarn. So I have 3 more balls of yarn. I'm hoping I have enough, because I've been looking online and I'm having trouble finding this. Nobody is destashing this colorway of Hempathy on Ravelry. Webb's does not have it in stock. That's where I purchased it originally. They don't have this color. I can find it a couple of other places. If I have to, I will buy another ball or 2 and hope that the color is a close enough match. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm making it longer. Okay, going by the pattern, the yarn requirements for the pattern, which again is Tegna or Tenya by Caitlin Hunter. The yarn requirements are very close to what I have for the size that I cast on. I cast on the 4th size. I'm decreasing down to the stitch count for the 3rd size to do the top part. So in that way, I'll be using a little less yarn up here. I'm making it longer though than it's called to be made, so that will use up a little bit more yarn, although maybe not as much as I think, because this is going to grow. This Hempathy grows a lot lengthwise. I'm going to soak it after I get through all my decreases just to see if I've done enough length. I'll block it before I go on. But I'm also not putting any sleeves in it. I'm just going to leave the little cap sleeves as they are. So I don't know. I'm just hoping I end up with enough yarn and I don't run out. Because that's what we always hope for our projects, right? No yarn chicken. So we'll see how that goes. But it's coming along. It's just very boring right now. The lace was so much fun to knit. I really enjoyed it. But having to do all that stockinette, especially in this yarn, I like this yarn a lot. But being, that hemp and cotton, it just doesn't have much give, and so it hurts my hands after a while. Plus, it's very heavy, so I have to have it resting on my lap or on a table while I'm working on it at this point, or it hurts my hands. So I can only work on it so much at one time. Okay, let's see what else. I showed you the hat. I showed you the needles up sock, the Tegna. The Afghan square. I wrote Afghan sock squares in my notes. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. The other project I worked on is a new cast on, and it's actually a design project with my Sunshine base, which is my light fingering base in the 100% superwash merino that I recently brought back. I had discontinued it for a while. And then the fluff base, which is the kid mohair and silk blend. I have not been able to get any more of that from my supplier. They were completely out of stock in it. But they're supposed to be getting more in by the end of this month, so hopefully I will be able to get some soon and put more in this shop. But I wanted to knit something with those two yarns held together, and I know there's a bunch of patterns out there that I could do that way, but I had an idea of what I wanted, so I started designing my own thing. And I'll just hold it up for you real quick so you can kind of see. Oh, it's all wrapped up in itself here. Hang on. So it's going to be a wrap. It's going to be knit side to side. It's got garter and eyelets and some interesting contours. So I'll show you the fabric up close. I mean, it's just got such a fun halo. And what I will say about this yarn is that it's delightful. I have knit with, you know, mohair silk blends or just other mohair yarns in the past, of varying qualities, I guess I would say. And some of them are quite sheddy, and you get a lot of those flyaways that end up getting in your mouth and your eyes and your nose and everything else. I have not had that problem with this at all. This is lovely. It's so very soft. There's like zero prickle factor to it if you're concerned about that. And I have not, I mean, obviously if I'm knitting it and I'm rubbing it against myself, I'm getting a little bit on my clothes, like you can see it, especially if you're wearing a dark color. But I have not noticed any of the flyaways, like I haven't been getting it in my contacts or my mouth or anything like that, which I think says a lot. So it's going really well. My first design idea that I had, or the first attempt, did not quite pan out, so I had to switch it up. And I ripped it out, and it actually was not bad to rip. I didn't have a ton knit, but a few times just in the design process I have had to do some ripping. And it's been fine. It hasn't tangled or stuck or anything. But I mostly knit all of this in the car, believe it or not, and a little bit at my mom's. You say, really, Lisa, you knit mohair in Florida? I did, because we were inside, because it was raining a lot, and so we were inside in the air conditioning. But these colors are the Sunshine. I would take them out of the bag, but I'm not sure. Let's see. Okay, so the Sunshine, this is Snowy Owl. And then the mohair is just in my wisp color, that real pale stone gray. I have it in a bag to keep it from getting messed up. So, and that works really well, having them both in the bag together like that. So this isn't catching on anything since it's in the bag. So anyway, I will tell you more about this as I knit it. I'm almost to the halfway point, and I've been enjoying it so much, it's kind of all I want to knit on, to tell you the truth. But obviously, I need to knit on some other things too. I don't need to. I can knit what I want, but like, I really would like to finish Tegna so I can wear it this summer and fall. But I would also really like to get this done so that I can have it out there once I am able to put more of that yarn in the shop. There is still some fluff in the shop and Sunshine. From the first time I dyed it back like in June, but not a lot. And like I said, I don't have any more yet. I have more Sunshine, but I'm waiting until I get the fluff, and then I can dye the colors to coordinate with each other, which was what my original plan was with that, which is why I brought the Sunshine back, because yardage wise they kind of work well together that way. Okay. So that's pretty much all I have to tell you about that I worked on. Spinning, I have spun more of my fleece, Bunny, the BFL Gotland fleece. I have a second bobbin on the wheel right now, but I did, I think I had mentioned to you, I wanted to finish the first bobbin and ply it before I went to my show a couple weeks ago because the woman who raised the sheep and I bought the fleece from was going to be there, and I wanted to be able to show it to her. So I did. I got that done, and I took it with me, and she was so delighted to see it. It was really cute. Now I have not soaked this yet, so it still smells really sheepy, but I'm really happy with it. I love these natural colors. I think I had originally told you there were 3 colors. Like there was a real light gray, then a mediumish gray, and then this darker brownish gray, almost black. Well, and I can't remember if maybe I told you this the last time I talked to you about it. As I was going through the bag of fleece, I found a 4th color that was a super, super dark black color, like black. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is fabulous. But it was really short fibers. Like I couldn't even comb it. Like it was so short. It was like down. And so when I saw Carlene, I was talking to her and I said, oh my gosh, I found this 4th color, because I explained to her how I was doing it. I was kind of doing it in random segments of colors so that it would be longer striping segments. And I said, but I found this black. I said, it's amazing. It's beautiful, but it's super hard to work with because it's so short. And she said that was the baby fur off of the baby fleece from when Bunny was born. She said she had that black fleece. That's what she was born with. And so she still had some of that apparently when she was shorn. It was a yearling. So, it was her first shearing. So anyway, I'm just kind of trying to add that in a little bit as I go, because I think I'll maybe flick it open a little bit and then just try to spin those little bits of black in just for some contrast, because in this one I did try spinning it just by itself into a segment, but it spun kind of big and lumpy because it's so short and I had to really clump it together really to make it work. So, but it's amazing, and I'm really enjoying spinning that. I actually need to comb more so that I have something to work with. And I think I mentioned, and I don't think I followed this up yet, I mentioned that I was getting a lot of waste from combing this fleece. The shorter fibers that just didn't really want to comb. And then I was watching Grace from Babel's Traveling Yarns podcast, and she was talking about some wool that she was processing, and she was also saying about she was getting waste from it, but she didn't want to just throw it out. And I can't remember exactly what she was doing with hers. She may have been like flicking the waste to open it so she could spin it. But when she said that, I thought, why didn't I think of that? Because the shorter stuff that isn't combing right might actually card well. And so that's what I've been doing. I've been taking some of that waste and I've been using my hand cards. Because remember, carding did not work overly well when I tried it when I was sampling this fleece. But it is working out that I can at least use more of that waste fleece, the waste fiber, if I card it. It's giving me something that I can spin. So that makes me feel better because I feel like I'm not losing as much of the fleece that way. I realize it's probably not how you're supposed to process a fleece, but I don't really care because it's my fleece and I'll do what I want. And I get to use much more of the fiber that way. So yeah, I'm finding much less waste at the end of my spinning now that I'm doing that. So that makes me happy. But otherwise, I haven't really done any spinning. Like I said, I had taken my Jaligan. I'd pulled some fiber out of my stash that I was going to spin with that. But I didn't end up doing any of it because I didn't have time. Although it would have been fun because I like to freak out the muggles. And if you're already in an awkward social situation, why not do something completely weird that makes them really wonder about you? Let's move on to knit-alongs. Right now we've got the July unofficial Tour de Fleece spin-along happening, which is almost over, mainly because July is almost over. I'm not sure when Tour de Fleece actually ends. Is it this weekend? Saturday? It's probably either Saturday or Sunday if I remember correctly. I don't know. Or maybe tomorrow. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's sometime this weekend. At any rate, July itself is almost over, so our unofficial spin along will be over. So when I record next time, I will announce a couple of winners from that and have some fun fibery prizes for you. We've had a lot of participation in that group, which I've really enjoyed. I felt bad that I couldn't really participate with you guys the last couple of weeks, but it's been fun seeing what you've been spinning. You guys are a talented bunch of spinners, I have to say that. So thank you so much for taking part in that. I have decided that we're taking August off from any kind of knit along or spin along or any along. I need a break. I feel like I just took a break not too long ago from these spin along and knit alongs, but honestly right now I do just sort of need a month to recoup. It's been such a busy season for me with all of these shows that I've done. Let's see, starting in March through July was a seriously busy show season for me, plus all of my other dying responsibilities and deadlines that I had, and you know, personal stuff, you know, the house sale, and you thought you were going to get through a whole podcast without me mentioning that, didn't you? Sorry. And then, you know, some travel thrown in there, and most recently this trip, and just stuff. It's just been really busy, and I'm looking at August and realizing that we have nothing big on our calendar in August. I'm so happy about this. You know, September, mid-September, we're taking our other trip, which I'm so stressed about and don't even want to think about right now, but you know, August is a fairly calm month, at least on the calendar, and I would kind of like to make it that way in other ways too. So I'm planning to just take August and enjoy the rest of my summer, try to relax, maybe get some extra time in doing those summer of me things that I've been wanting to do. I mean, I feel like I've done pretty well with that, but there's some things I've wanted to do that I haven't had a chance to do at all. So I hope August might give me the chance to do that. I know I told you I was trying to do this meditation thing this summer, the mindfulness, that's what it was. That also involved some like daily like mindful meditation, breathing stuff every day. Not at all. It just hasn't been happening. So August is my hope. That's my hope, that I'll actually be able to just recoup and do that. So for the month of August, there will be no specific along happening. I did, however, recently start a sewing thread in the group called Sew, S-E-W question mark, for anybody who might also be trying to do some sewing, whether it's a handmade wardrobe kind of sewing or project bag sewing, or even just like stitching, embroidery, or hi, Tippy. Tippy was apparently hiding behind the couch in here, which I did not know. The things, she sneaks in here occasionally, and I was bringing stuff in for the podcast. She must have snuck in while I was doing that, and I didn't see her. And she just emerged. Anyway, sewing thread. So if you're, you know, doing any kind of stitching, whether it's clothing, project bags, embroidery, cross stitch, anything that involves a needle and some sort of thread or yarn, feel free to please join us in that thread and chatter, because that's been fun. It's not an along, there's no prizes involved. It's just for fun and to share like what you're doing, because sewing does seem to be, you know, something a lot of people are doing these days, and I'm trying to do it. I can't wait to start a new project. I was gonna this morning maybe cut out something new, but I decided I would podcast instead. So you're getting my time instead of sewing. Yeah, so that is in the thread, in the group. I think I'm gonna maybe just start an August thread. I'll just call it August Chatter maybe, and just so that we can stay in touch, since there is no official along thread. There is still the knitting color work thread, which I know I have not posted in a very long time because my color work knitting has been nil lately. But please feel free to post in there and revive that. Maybe I'll post something just to kick it up towards the top again. I can't remember if I still have it stickied or not. If I don't, maybe I will I will do that. But there are active threads in the group that you're welcome to please be a part of and stay chatting, because I so enjoy the community that we have. Even when I'm not able to be right there posting, I'm always reading every chance I get. So, and hopefully August will give me more of a chance to interact with you guys on there as well. So that is it for knit-alongs. Like I said, I'll do the drawings for the spin-along next week. I do have drawing winners this week for the Margaret's Passion sock pattern by Heidi Nick, which I showed you last time. Do I still have it in here? Yes, here it is. Margaret's Passion socks by Heidi Nick. She designed those using some of my bounce base. And then she gave me a whole bunch of codes that I could give away. The thing where if you buy the pattern, you can request a free copy of... No. If you buy yarn, sorry. If you buy any of the bounce yarn in my group, in my shop, gosh, words. Any sock yarn, really, not just bounce. Whatever sock yarn, you can request a copy of the pattern and I will send you a free code for it. So you need to request that when you place your order. However, I'm going to give away 2 copies of the pattern today from the drawing. I was just going to do 1, but I thought I have the codes, I might as well do 2. So I did the random number generator right before I recorded, and it chose post number 5, who is for sure, who is Katie. So congratulations, Katie. My prompt for this drawing was to say either what your favorite MASH character was if you used to watch MASH, or what your favorite sitcom is now, or I think there was a third option, I don't remember. But anyway, Katie's answer was Big Bang Theory is her current favorite sitcom, which I have to agree. I don't watch very much TV anymore, but I love Big Bang Theory whenever I get to see it. And then she said back in the 70s her favorite show was One Day at a Time, and I'd totally forgotten about that TV show. I loved that show back then too. So thank you for reminding me of that. Anyway, the other winning post was post number 11, who is Manda B, and that is Amanda. And she said her favorite sitcom, funny show, is That 70s Show, which I've actually never watched. I've heard of it, but I've never seen it. So anyway, maybe I'll have to check that out sometime. But anyway, Amanda and Katie, please PM me on Ravelry and let me know that you heard this, that you know you're the winner, and I will send you your coupon codes for the Margaret's Passion sock pattern. And thank you again, Heidi, for donating those codes to us. I do have some new things to show you. When I was at the show, which was the Gypsy Stardust Yarn and Fiber Festival, which was local here back mid-July now, it seems like it was so long ago, my booth neighbor was Shirsty Cat. And I have used her yarn before, but she had this one colorway in her one basket that she has yarn in that I just kept looking at all day, and it was beautiful, and it's so autumnal looking. I just had to have it. So I bought it. It's on a sparkle base, which, let's see, sparkle sock, that's what she calls it. That's very appropriate. And this is a limited edition skein. She does, I don't know if she does it all the time, but I think she said on Friday nights she does these listings for just a limited edition run of one colorway that she doesn't repeat. And this was one of those, and it was actually from the night before, and it's called Insanity is the color, but I just think those colors are beautiful. So I don't know what it'll become. It may end up just being some fallish socks for me or something, but I picked that up there. And then I ordered, and I ordered these a while ago because these are made to order. There's a shop on Etsy called Burning Impressions. I honestly don't remember where I first saw these. I'm sure it was probably something posted on Instagram. But she does, at least I'm assuming it's a she. Oh my goodness, I don't even know. I'm pretty sure it's a she. I'm sorry if you're not a she. But Burning Impressions does like sock blockers and mitten blockers and all kinds of cool wood burned designs and things. And they had these mitten blockers that I just loved, and so I had to purchase a pair because I don't have mitten blockers. I have lots of sock blockers, but I don't have mitten blockers, and I love these designs, these celestial designs. So these are mitten blockers. They come in different sizes. I got the mediums, and the thumbs are removable, as they are in most mitten blockers I've ever seen, because when you put them on the mitten, you can put this up and then you can fit the thumb in so you're not stretching your mitten out of shape. Yeah, I just thought they were beautiful. I was on her shop right before I started recording, and I do not see this design up right now. I don't know if she'll be bringing it back or what, or if you can, message her and maybe ask for it if you like it, but she has other ones up there. So if you're looking for mitten blockers or sock blockers, and she's got some other things in there too, check her out because it looks really cool, and I just love these. I can't wait to use them. This means I do actually have to knit some mittens. My husband was like, why would you need to block mittens? And I'm like, well, color work you would want to block, so I should actually knit some color work mittens. I keep talking about it. Anyway, so I got those, and I will link that shop in the show notes. And the last thing I have that's new, I actually picked up on vacation, and it's not knitting specific, but I definitely will probably use it as a knitting tote. It's this bag with pufferfish on it. There is a gift shop in Fernandina Beach, right on Center Street, called Out of Hand. I love that shop. I always go in there. I mean, they've got, unlike a lot of gift shops in touristy destinations, that have like places, like Fernandina Beach on the shirts or Amelia Island or whatever. I mean, they do have some of that, but their shop has just really cool, quirky, interesting gift items. And they have this line of bags, which is Bungalow 360. I actually have a wallet from them that has octopi on it. And then they have a whole bunch of other designs. And they're just super simple, and they're mostly like these two, monochromatic-y. I don't know. Maybe that's not even right either. But their designs are simple, but they're really cute. And I just love these pufferfish so very much. I looked at this the one day when we were in there, and I thought, oh, I don't really need another bag. And I didn't buy it, and then I said, the next day, I'm like, I have to go back and get that bag. I need that bag. So I now have it. But it's nice because it's got this really big zipper part on the front, and then it's super big inside, and it's got this great blue polka dot fabric, and there's a zipper pouch inside. Yeah, so really cool. They have lots of neat items. If you're ever in that area, go check that shop out. The other shop I really like down there is Hudson and Perry. It's like kitchenwares, like quirky kitchenwares. It's a really tiny little shop, but it's cute. They've got a lot of neat things in there. And it's mostly kitchenwares. There's some other stuff too. And then there's a pottery shop called Slightly Off Center, and we did not go there this year or this trip, but it's funny. The name is a double entendre because it's, like pottery. If you're not spinning, what's it called? When you're throwing pottery on a wheel, you're not spinning pottery, I don't know. If your pottery is off center, it's going to be weird. But I know that much. But the road or the street that the shop is on is slightly off center. It's one street down. So I thought that was Center Street and then slightly off center. So yeah, that's a really cool shop. She's got very nice pottery in there. We own a bunch of it. Didn't buy any this time though. So, okay, there's your shopping recommendations for if you're ever in Fernandina Beach, Florida. Okay, so let's see. Anything else? Summer of Me update. I really don't have anything to update you because I haven't been here to do anything. We've been away, so maybe we'll just go into 10% and I'll tell you about our trip. Like I said, we left last Thursday, drove down to Florida, picking my grandson up in South Carolina along the way. So it was really fun to have him along. We were there Thursday night through Monday. The wedding was on Saturday. It rained a good bit. The weather was not great. It did not rain for the wedding. We were able to have the wedding on the beach as planned, which was lovely. It was nice because it was not nearly as hot as it was when Bill and I got married on the beach down there a couple years ago. So it was nice, and it wasn't nearly as windy either. It was so funny though, because they had chairs, brought chairs in, got chairs brought in on the beach, and so everything was set up. And then right as we were starting to get ready, and everybody was sitting down, there was this whole line of people who were on the beach together. There was probably a dozen of them, and they all turned their beach chairs around so they could watch the wedding. It was so funny. And at the end, they're like clapping. It was just such a hoot. We didn't have that at our wedding. At our wedding, we had dragon kites flying overhead, which was very cool also. Anyway, so there was the wedding, and then the reception was like right at this restaurant, right on the beach, upstairs. And there was a band playing at the restaurant, so it was like my mom got this free band for her wedding for nothing, because it was just playing outside anyway. And they were very good. So there was that, and we all stayed at a hotel, just a couple, like it was an easy walk down off the beach. They had just gotten everybody rooms so everybody could be together, because there was so many people there, we could not have all stayed at their house. So that was kind of cool. You know, it was cool in a way because we were all together, and it was easy access to the wedding and the reception, but it was also just sort of weird because everybody was in their own room, so unless you made plans to meet up with people at the pool or do this or go here, you didn't really get to see anybody. So that was a little odd. But we did take my son, who was there, my younger son, and my grandson, who is the son of my oldest son, who was not there. We went to Fort Clinch on Saturday morning, I guess the morning of the wedding. Yeah, we went to Fort Clinch, which was fun. I love Fort Clinch. It's one of my favorite places down there. It's an old fort, you know, a military fort. So there's the actual fort, and then there's the beach near the fort. And we did both. My grandson really enjoyed the fort and getting to see all that. My grandson's 13. Did I mention that? So he's at a good age to, you know, kind of be interested in stuff like that. And then we were on the beach and, you know, walked around, picked up shells, because you can never have too many seashells. So we did that. Then the wedding was Saturday evening. Sunday we all hung out at my mom and Roy's house. And again, it was too cold and wet to really swim, so nobody was in the pool, which was a bummer. I just sort of hung out and knit my sock and awkwardly tried to interact with people I didn't know. And then Monday we left, my husband and grandson and I, we left and drove over to Okefenokee Swamp because we had taken a canoe with us so that we could take Ashton canoeing through the swamp. Bill and I were there a couple of days over our honeymoon when we got married down there. And it's very cool. Bill's been there several times. This was my second time there. And it's just so pretty in there. You don't think about a swamp being pretty, but it's not like a murky, ugly swamp. It's gorgeous. Like just the flora and fauna. Lots of alligators. We saw lots of alligators. Ashton was having such a blast spotting the alligators. And on our way back, the second half of the day, there were these two huge alligators just laying on these logs over by the side of the water. It was amazing. I'll try to remember to put some pictures in at the end of the podcast so you can see them. They were big. It's so neat. And no, it's not dangerous because you're not like sticking your hands in the water while you're going. And those alligators do not want to be close to you any more than you want them right on top of you. So they keep their distance. The bigger ones are a little braver. You know, the tiny ones, they kind of scoot off pretty quickly. But yeah, we saw them. There was lots of spiders, which isn't like my exciting thing, but they're pretty and their webs are very interesting. Lots of egrets and night herons. We saw this really cool salamander when we were at the one stop. They have like these platforms that you can stop, and there's like a porta potty and everything. So we stopped for lunch, and it was this blue tail and red head. I can't remember. It was a skink of some sort, my husband said, but it was just so neat. And it was right there. It actually hopped up on my grandson's shorts at one point. It's funny. And then there was a very, very overly friendly squirrel at another stop we made, which that worried me because I thought, oh my gosh, I hope it's not rabid. But I think he was just hungry and it was like, hey, do you have food for us? And so we tossed him a few nuts. But he was kind of funny to watch, and my grandson was having a blast with him too. We stayed at a motel overnight, and then we were going to get up super early and get on the road because we had to get home Tuesday. We had to get home. Well, as it turned out, we ended up sleeping way late. Like, it was 8:30 when we finally woke up. And my husband's like, what time is it? And I looked at my phone because I couldn't see the clock from where I was. I'm like, oh, it's 8:30. He's like, in the morning? I'm thinking, well, it's certainly not 8:30 at night because we didn't even get into the hotel till like 10. He's like, oh my gosh, we have to get home today. So we had to like hurry up and get ready and leave. We didn't even eat breakfast until like an hour later when we were on the road. But I'll tell you what, the return drive home just seemed like it took forever. And it felt like it too. I mean, like I said, we didn't get home until almost 2 in the morning. So, but we dropped my grandson off, and then just the ride from his house to our house just seemed like it took way longer than it had taken on the way down. So, anyway, but it was fine. We had a good trip. But like I said, I am still recovering because those last couple of days were just long and tiring. So, anyway, that's pretty much it, I think, for 10%. Shop news, I will tell you that I will be doing a trunk show through the month of August. So this isn't like a trunk show where I'm going to be there at the shop, but this is going to be for the Ross Farm Mercantile shop in 84 PA. So if you are local to Pittsburgh, and especially if you're going to be doing the yarn crawl that's coming up starting August 3rd, they're one of the stops on the yarn crawl. My yarn will be there. I'm going to take that and deliver it tomorrow. There's going to be lots of self-striping there. And Amy had asked me if I would dye up a special yarn crawl colorway. So there will be limited quantities of that as well. So I hope you get to enjoy that if you're going on the yarn crawl. I'm not officially doing the yarn crawl just because I'm too far away from most of the shops to even try to make it work. But yeah, have fun if you're going on the yarn crawl. I have started going through all of my show inventory. So I will be starting to post that in the shop soon. I think what I'm going to do is I have certain items that I'm going to put up as one update. I will either record a separate update video, a preview video for that, or do what I did that last time of kind of just have a video with pictures of what's going in the shop. So stay tuned for that. I don't know exactly when I'll be able to get that up. It probably won't happen until next week sometime. But in the meantime, I am planning for my next several updates. That's the other nice thing about the fact that my busy show season is over. I can finally get back to doing some regular updates. I'm starting to think about my new fall colorways, new Halloween colorway, new holiday colorways. I have a collaboration that's going to be happening this fall that I'm super excited about. And as soon as I have enough details, I will start telling you about that. And yeah, so lots of things coming up, and I'm looking forward to the fall season in my shop. Also, just a reminder, the Conversion Rewards program is still going on. So if you're knitting with Fiber Nymph Dye Works yarn or spinning that fiber, please, please, please remember to post your finished yardage, or not yardage, grams, your finished grams in the Conversion Rewards program finished object thread in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group on Ravelry, because that is how you can earn new yarn and new fiber this year. So please remember to do that. Okay, that's everything. I will be back next week with another podcast. And in the meantime, please enjoy your weekend. I hope if you're getting all the rain like we've been getting, you stay dry. And if you need rain, hopefully some will come to you soon. Anyway, I will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.